Welcome in, everybody. Happy Friday, and welcome to the Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour. I am one half of your host and virtual bartender, Mr. Nick Teodoro. Joining me, as always, is my tag team partner in life, my wife, Miss Nicole. Nicole, what are you having this evening?
Oh, it is good to be back. I am back at it with my Tito's, my cranberry and orange juice. Mr. Nick, you need to tell the people what you're drinking and our three things for the show.
I am drinking my Cabernet Seven Oaks as per usual. Well, there's been a Bloodline reunion. Jon Moxley is a marked man, and the Judgment Day may be falling apart. It's Friday, November 15th, 2024. This is the Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour. Welcome back in, everybody. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, Nicole. Nicole, it's been a couple of weeks since we've been live.
So many days.
Exactly. It's been a while. Stained? Nobody? There's some 90s. Odds. But I digress. But it's been a week. We have a lot to get through. It's a fun time for us. We have a lot going on. So, Nikki, as we have been getting started in these last couple of weeks, let's kick it off with Nikki News. Nikki's non-kayfabe news is back. Nikki.
And we're starting kind of cheesy.
I guess kind of.
So while we were away, Nick Aldis did this wonderful quick vignette introducing, finally, I think I've been clamoring for a secondary women's belt. And he announced and produced this I think it's beautiful, a women's U.S. championship belt for Smackdown. And he said, in the vignette, women are in the WWE are breaking down barriers. This is another barrier to break down, and whoever, opportunity is knocking, whoever goes above and beyond is going to win this belt.
It's been long overdue.
Yes.
Because now you've got a women's roster that is stacked on both levels.
Yes. Agreed.
So now you have the ability, and there's been enough of a showcase of women's wrestling that you can actually, flies on my screen, you can actually do a lot more with this and build something around. And with the programming that's coming up, I think there's a lot that this could build up a star. Yeah. I'll let you finish.
Oh, I was just going to say, it is announced that SmackDown is going to 3 hours in January when Raw goes to Netflix. And again, you can there's more opportunity, more time to showcase these women. I'm sorry, it was just especially you see on, I think more on Raw, that it's the Leah, I keep combining their names now, the Liv and Rhea show. And then I feel if there's it's hard. It's I don't want every feud to feel like it needs a belt, but if that's how they're going to do it, then I'm glad you're giving me a secondary women's belt so I can see some of the undercard of the women get some time. And I guess I'll just say this because I know this is coming, but who should win this belt first? Yeah. Give me some Chelsea Green.
So that is the question: is who should be the inaugural Women's United States Champion? You say Chelsea Green. I could see a lot. To me, it should be as if you want to say purist in me, it feels like it should be someone who's a true viewed as a true mid card talent. I don't know. I just feel because it's a mid card belt, that's what it should be treated as. Maybe someone in Pure Fusion Collective, like Sonya Deville, who I view as not necessarily a main event women's champion, but could be a really good mid carder around her, even though she's on Raw. Someone like that with that group building the belt around her would be kind of interesting. I see that as an option. I've heard Bayley as another name.
No, I would not like that. Again, I hope they treat this like they sort of do with like the men's belts. Like you get your IC or the US, and you live in that world for a little bit, and then it escalates you to the upper card for the top two belts. I'm hoping this is like for that kind of workhorse mid-cardy girls who can put on great matches, build the prestige up for this, kind of like what Seth and Priest and then Gunther is doing with the World Heavyweight Championship. Like, I hope they can put something on it, build it, bring some prestige, and then that person will eventually, when they do drop it, will go up the card to whoever's champion at that point in time.
Could it be a step stool for an NXT, like a Lyra, Valkyria type? Like, I don't know. She's on Raw again.
I think we haven't seen her on TV. She's been
what's
dabbling in NXT again.
Who is that other? Oh my gosh, the other that they called up during the draft. They got drafted onto SmackDown. Now I'm blanking on her name. Oh my gosh, some with a B. Brittany. Dark
Are you
hair.
talking about Blair Davenport?
Blair Davenport, yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe someone like that. Exactly. Like, I don't know. It comes out of but like a young talent up and coming from NXT, possibly. I'm not sure. What do you all think? Let us know in the comments below. Who do you want to win the Women's United States Championship? Who do you think should be the inaugural Women's United States Champion?
Then why is it Chelsea Green Hobbs?
Could it be Piper Niven?
Oh, no, I think it'd be so fun, like, giving that, like, Triple H Diesel thing that she's, like, this, like, chicken shit mid-card champion, but again, she has this big heavy to take care of her. I love Piper and Chelsea Green together so much, but if you're not going to give them the tag belts, then I think they need something, and I think Chelsea gets nothing but praise backstage, and I forget who it was. I think it was Booker T, and this podcast came out that, like, Chelsea Green is like the female Miz. Like, whatever you need her to do, she does it. She throws 100% into it. Like, again, she had the dumpster match, and then she's in the dumpster, and they're all telling her she's smelly, and it's just like, whatever she does, like, she kills it. Like,
yeah, she's a team player.
The Money in the Bank match, when she was scared and all that thing, and took that terrifying fall off the top. And then when they, what was it? Past pay-per-view that I'm blanking on. Crown Jewel.
Oh, Crown Jewel.
When she pretended she was gonna do a moonsault and then moved down a rope and then she was gonna do it again and she moved down. Like, she gets it. She's so good, and I would love to see her rewarded for, like, I think what a performer she is.
Yeah, no, for the effort. I agree. I think that's fair. But yeah, it could be a number. It could be really anybody at this point in time, because it would be considered a hell of an honor as the first mid card, title. I'm a little surprised they didn't go with the, like, women's intercontinental title versus the US title, which is more WCW based. But I don't know.
It's gonna sound shitty what I'm about to say, but I feel like the IC belt's a little more prestigious, and I think maybe as they figure this out, because I think they originally said, like, that's why they had the Women's North American Championship on NXT, and I necessarily didn't agree with Kalani Jordan winning the belt first. Again, I think she's good in the ring. She needs a long way to go on the mic, for sure. And now that's on what's her face, Fallon Henley, who I like better. I also like her better as a face, so I don't know how I feel about that. But, like, I don't know. I think the US is a good way to start. And I'm also worried if you do introduce an IC women's belt, then I don't want to be like where AEW and there's too many belts. Like, let's pilot this first, and I think the US is a good place to start.
Fair enough. So, moving on, Nikki, what else?
Yeah, some more newsy news. It was, I believe, while we were gone, it was announced that Battleground, that's not it, Elimination Chamber is going to be in Toronto in March. So there'll be the last pay-per-view going into, I don't know why I said Battleground. I think we've been watching too many fall brawls, and then we were watching World War III's. We've been watching old WCW stuff, so I think that's why I said it. But rumors were, I think, around the summertime that Elimination Chamber was going to be in the UK. Clearly it's not. It's in Toronto, and weren't they just in Toronto? Wasn't just
another
wasn't Money in the Bank in Toronto?
Yes, maybe I believe it was.
I don't want to confuse my Canadian geography here, but so yeah,
it might have been Montreal. It might have been Montreal.
Oh, I think
it was Montreal.
I'm sorry, our Canadian friends.
Unbelievable.
I know. I'm sorry.
We don't know geography. That's why the show doesn't do well. We get the coordinates from Uncle Howdy. That's how we got it.
I know. I need to Google.
We lucked out on that one.
Right. Seriously. But I'm assuming this is going to kind of be like every other kind of modern. I don't want to say modern day either, but like recent history elimination chambers. It's like whoever wins the Royal Rumble declares their belt they're going after, and then the men's elimination chamber, and I think the women's elimination chamber, the other belt will be determined in the cage. I'm assuming that's what they're going to do this year. I kind of really do like that aspect of it.
Well, Toronto always has hot crowds. Well, Canada always has. I mean, the major cities in Canada usually always have hot crowds. So at least leading into WrestleMania, this will at least give it enough of a boost that I think, you just want to keep that momentum riding. So yeah, it's a good.
I think it's a good pay-per-view to set up so much stuff that will lead us again in whatever's not set up at Royal Rumble will be set up here to go into the final stretch of the road to WrestleMania.
Well put, Nikki. What else you got?
I don't remember our third story.
Well, the third story, Nikki gave it to me in advance of the show, thank you, is Saturday night's main event.
Oh, yes.
Will be taking place 5 times throughout 2025. Yeah, Booker T 5 times. So it's going to be interesting if it's treated, and what's neat about this is if it's treated like a pay-per-view, which it seems to be. I mean, there's going to be a lot of title matches, a lot of hype around it. Yeah. I'm curious to see how the booking is going to be affected by this, because now you're basically adding 4 PLEs.
So, rumor is for this one on the 14th that main is supposed to be Cody and KO. Rumor. And then the rumor is the second one, again, I think this is rumor. I don't know if it's officially official, but apparently they're supposed to do it, I believe, January 25th, whatever that last kind of Saturday going into the Royal Rumble. So I don't know if this is like an 8 to 10 thing, is just an 8 to 11 thing. Like, I hope it's just kind of like a heightened Raw or a heightened Smackdown. I don't need it to be a whole, 5-match card PLE feeling.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Yeah, could it start off with a PLE feel because they want to have a grandiose start to it, and then ultimately it diluted over time that the 5th one is more like a SmackDown, like a SmackDown lead-in to a PLE.
I'm also worried they're not going to do that because this is on NBC. This is not Peacock. It's like anybody and their mother can watch it.
Right. It's like this Salute to the Troops or. Salute to the Troops.
Which have they done? I don't know.
I feel like they try and do it every year.
But I feel like it's not like it's like the SmackDown is like tribute. It's tribute to the Troops.
Tribute, yeah, that's right.
But it's not like an NBC special. I feel like it hasn't been an NBC special in a while.
No.
Correct me in the comments down below.
Yeah, let us know. So, Nikki,
that's it for the news, baby.
That's all you got for this week for Nikki's news. Nikki, we are back, and we go in to Monday Night Raw with our WWE Monday Night Raw takeaways.
Yes.
Let's get into it. Nikki, Dakota Kai.
Dakota Kai.
Returned on Monday Night Raw from. Did she have a knee injury?
Yes.
But I feel like she's always got a lot of knee injuries.
Yeah, I feel like she messed up both knees.
So Dakota Kai returns in a 6-woman tag team match, which, shocker, who's going to be the third person? Who's the third woman in Damage Control? And so, solid match, back and forth, which ultimately sees Io Sky with the Over the Moonsault, which is it is a great name for a finishing move. Because again, she is the number 1 contender to Liv Morgan, getting put over. So I guess my question is, well, first off, Nikki, your thoughts on Dakota Kai's return on Raw, and Damage Control.
I was a little worried about their face turn that kind of seemingly happened out of nowhere very quickly. I really liked heel Io Shirai on NXT. Here, the three of them together, I just feel like it's more face. I really love Dakota Kai. Girls, stay healthy, because I feel like she could be someone that could win, would be a U.S. Women's Champion. And I'm worried.
That's another
we
name.
talked about, last week, injury proneness, and I don't want her to be in that category because I feel like it might be also what happened with Nick Sindel and kind of why she didn't get she got released, not re-signed. I just want her to stay healthy. I do like a face Io going after Liv. I think it's a fresh. Again, I do love Rhea and Liv and what they've been doing, but I do like this little break. Again, I don't see Io winning, but I think they'll have a great match, and I think it's nice to see Liv wrestle kind of someone her own size and kind of like more. I'm not saying that Rhea's not athletic, but like the more like I feel like Io would sell really well for her, and then like when at Crown Jewel when Liv hit the Oblivion, like. It didn't look great.
Well, yeah,
and I feel like Io would make that look good.
They're smaller. That's why they like to say like smaller wrestlers around in similar size. It's almost like again like the X when we talk about cruiserweight or the X divisions wrestling each other. Like you have that similar size. They could do more athletic, speedy moves. This bug's attacking me. So yeah, it allows more, and I think Liv can show a little bit more in those matches. So. Then my question is, I guess you kind of touched on it. Where does Damage Control go from here? Because what you're saying is that you don't think, which I believe as well, that Io is going to, win and win the belt back over Liv. So what happens with Damage Control now that Dakota Kai is back and
I think
in the fold?
They're just going to be in the tag team picture. I think. Sooner rather than later, Bianca and Jade are going to drop it. I know you think the metaphor, but I'm not sure that yet. But someone's got to beat them. Would I love it to be Damage Control? Like, could they freebird it? Like, that'd be fun. Something I don't think we've seen, really, besides the New Day, anyone kind of freebird anything in a while, especially in the women's.
Yeah, that'd be kind of nice.
That'd be fun.
But I mean, yeah, like. As a heel group, I like them so much better as a heel group, and I really would love to see Io ascend back to the top of the women's division, especially if there's kind of like you said, like after the Rhea Liv storyline dissipates, what's left. So it gives us a new opportunity to refresh things and rehash things. So I'm not sure. Let us know. What do you all think? Where do you want Damage Control? Do you think they deserve a better push? Are you happy with Dakota Kai's return? Do you think she's going to excel the top or be more of what she's been, which is more of the mid-card?
Dakota Kai.
But we move along. So, Nikki,
yes.
Going back to Raw, as we say here. Mm-hmm. That wasn't the only thing that happened on Raw.
It was not. There was 2 hours worth of things.
I love 2-hour Raws. But regardless, on Raw, Miz and the Final Testament got a little bit of their revenge. And the Wyatts, I feel like, saw this coming. So Miz and the Final Testament get their revenge on the Wyatt Sicks. Nikki, your thoughts?
I think revenge is a strong word. I know I think this played out a little better than, I guess, 2 weeks ago when, like, Eric Rowan just took out AOP. I think it made sense for The Miz to take the chair to the big guy and then do the collider, super collider. What do they call it?
Yeah, super collider.
On Loomis and Gacy. I do like how, like, they are down, but you do have, like, Uncle Howdy do kind of like a classic Bray Wyatt, which just starts laughing. Again, I think revenge is a strong word. This is gonna keep going for a little while longer.
Yeah, they needed to get over and get some sort of attack. It's reminiscent of the Bo Dallas attack from Chad Gable when he had the Creed brothers join him, and then he just got beat up, and he's like, ha ha ha, and then the Wyatts finally came out. So yeah, it's just like he's expecting it. He's a glutton for punishment, and he knew this was going to happen. So why did the thing I don't get about this is, like, why did he release the Miz if this is all part of Miz's plan to get abducted? Like, there's kind of a confusion. Like Miz's plan all along was to get abducted and then set them up so that for this beatdown.
I'm hoping that there will be a video next week or the week after of footage of how Miz escaped, left, got let go, and then see what, like, again, I feel like Miz had to say he's like, oh, I'm a better man. Like, I don't think it's that. I think he also said Karrion really weird backstage in that thing. I think he said something about Karrion, and it would be the Wyatt family showing Final Testament that you can't trust the Miz. I think he's playing both sides. Because Miz will do rob Peter to pay Paul, like, oh, yeah, I'm with you, and then turn his other cheek and, like, talk out of both sides of the mouth. We'll just do whatever.
Yeah, to save his own skin.
Right. So I'm hoping we'll see the other side of, when Miz just like, oh, yeah, let me go, because I said, like, I'm a Dick Robinson.
So do you think that would, like, not turn the Final Testament, or just turn them on him?
Like, I'm hoping you just turn him on Miz. Like, I don't see that group being faces.
Mm-hmm.
They're not really great. I don't know. This does nothing. I want to like this. I really do. And I just couldn't. Because when you brought up the topic, you're like, oh, the Miz and the White.
So
I was like, what? I had to, like, rewatch it because it's not registered in my brain.
All right. So just to confirm it, you think this is right now bad creative?
Yes, babe.
All right. We got a new drop for that.
From the bottom of my heart, man to man, fuck your story.
I said we had 2 weeks to find new drops.
I know, you said you had one for bad creative, and I had no idea where it was going to go. And then once I saw The Rock, I was like, ugh. And then I was like, okay, I'm on board.
So Nikki is not a fan of the Final Testament Wyatt's storyline. I kind of like it. I like pretty much anything in this.
Like, I do. I want to like it. I do. And I'm just like,
I know.
What I was worried about.
But we'll see. It's going to come. Ultimately, we shall see where everything goes in this storyline. But let us know in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel about this whole storyline? Do you like it? Are you starting to sour a little bit on the Wyatt Sicks, or waiting for another feud? Are they biding time? Could they be biding time for another group on Raw that seems to be having family issues? So it leads us into our segue, which could be the Judgment Day. I should have said that first, but bad segue. We're getting back in the rhythm here. It's going to take us a little bit of time. But the main event for Monday Night Raw, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez challenged for the women's tag team titles, Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. And let's see some highlights and how it turned out. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez fall short in winning the women's tag titles on Raw. Nikki, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm not surprised they didn't win, and I'm not surprised there was shenanigans. Nia Jax and Tippy came out to distract. Seeing Jade and Nia together makes me nervous because I don't like how Jade ripped her. I don't like how Nia ripped her out of the ring. I don't know. It seemed something was off there, and then when she tried to do the bonsai drop, I just feel like I don't know if Jade wasn't laying right, but she ripped her again. I'm just like, oh, I don't know if she's just trying to look vicious or she wasn't doing something right. But then Naomi also came out and.
Well, it's the power on power that you want to see because again, it's like with Piper, they set it up like you're gonna see those crazy OMG Big Nick energy moves.
Because I really liked when Jade and Raquel were in the ring and they both did the big boot at the same time and knocked each other out. That's fun, and that for me is big girl power, big girl power. Again, my feelings about Nia Jax, even though I've been picking her in our predictions lately, she still makes me worried. But I think at the end of this match, I think will probably be announced soon. I think this is you're setting up your women's whole games match, the goodies versus the baddies.
So I guess my question is, was this a good decision to have Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez fall? Because I like Livy two belts. We love us some Liv Morgan on this show, and I like the idea of just having her and Raquel, Raquel by association with Liv now is a women's tag champion again, and this just builds up their strength in the division. And the way that this was booked with again Nia doing the Samoan drop and all the hijinks would have made sense for them to drop it then. To me, I don't know. That's why I asked to everyone out there and in the YouTube world, do you think this was the right decision? Because I thought this was a good opportunity to pull it back and let Liv look that much stronger, let Raquel gain something in this relationship with Liv that can further that when you do eventually break them up, that could give them an organic feud together as well. So I don't know.
Well, I don't think they're going to drop it on Raw. I think it's going to be at a PLE. This pops in my head when you were talking. Wouldn't it be crazy, Pam, that the tag belts are on the line in the War Games match?
How though?
Well, they have those weird stipulations all the time. I mean, we've been watching way too much.
But with 5 people, then how do you decide who if one person pins?
I feel if the goodies win, then Bianca and Jade retain.
The group.
The group
retains for the two
retains, and then if the baddies win, if Liv pins whoever.
Oh, so then Naomi could turn that way too.
Yeah. So it's if Liv pins whoever in the match, then her and Raquel are
Steven said, "Freebird rules."
Freebird.
Freebird.
I don't know. Maybe we've been watching way too much weird WCW stuff again. We've been watching Brawl Brawl.
Hey, just because it's older doesn't mean it's bad. You can go back and rehash it. And it's good.
God, we had World War III on last night, and I think I watched 4 World War III matches. But I don't know.
I didn't know which one I was watching when we woke up. When I woke up in 3 a.m. because I was there's 60 men in each one, so I don't know if it's just a random jobber that's in the match or a random person.
No, it's 20 men in 3 rings that'll equal 60, and then they go into
it's math and.
I know, it was a lot. And then they had a commentator group for each ring, and they were going back and forth. And then whoever was with whoever was screaming. I'm I don't even know who this guy is. It was a lot. I don't know. I've been watching.
Ridiculous.
Too much weird. Anyway, again, they're not going to lose it. I think they're going to lose it. To me, I think whoever is going to be at Royal Rumble, and that will lead to their match at Mania.
So this also begs a question with Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, taking the fall here for Judgment Day. There was a segment earlier on in the evening where, again, the number one contender since we last had our show is Damian Priest for Gunther's world title.
Gunther!
Since that happened, in that match was Dom Mysterio, who lost. A lot of nefarious activity. Bronson Reed was involved. Craziness ensued. But regardless, tension boiled over between the Judgment Day members, Dom and Finn. And now we get to the point where Dom basically one-upped Finn and said, I beat Damian, something you've never done. So a little bit of tensions between the Judgment Day. Nikki,
and I believe,
is there cracks forming in the Judgment Day?
Believe next week it's going to be Dom and Carlito versus the War Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
So then they're like, "Oh, are you guys like getting in like the tag team?"
Yes. So sorry, I should digress. So because now Damian Priest is one win away from being a world champion, Finn alludes that it's Dom's fault. He said he could have used help, like Judgment Day always does. When Bronson Reed came out and all the craziness ensued, when Finn retorts that he was told to stay in the back, which was the plan that Liv agreed upon, or Liv's plan, maybe Liv created. So they get in each other's face, and ultimately, cooler heads prevail in that they agree that they're a family and that they'll help each other out in what family does. And as family, Carlito and Dom will take on the War Raiders, who are the number one contenders for the World Tag Team titles. So, again, a little bit of one-upsmanship, a little bit of, not deception, but cracks forming between the two. And Nikki, you said this a couple of months ago. When you
hello, Card Key, Liv and are the red herring. It's going to be Liv and Finn are the masterminds of this whole operation, and she's going to have an epic makeout session with Finn Balor. Or maybe I just want to have it. I want to see that happen. I think it's them pulling the strings, and she's just pulling Dominic along again to mess with Rhea. And then I also think that maybe if they do somehow put the belts, maybe that's what Liv and Raquel do at Royal Rumble. They do take the belts off. Jade and Bianca. And then they'll have then something will happen with Dom. And then at the end of the Royal Rumble will be Finn and JD with their tag belts and Liv and Raquel with their tag belts, and then her and Finn make out.
Yeah, that's kind of how it, because again, Carlito's going to crush on Raquel, and Raquel's not giving him the time of day. So it would make sense for them all to be, kind of together.
Also, I meant to say this at the beginning of our Raw segment. I know Raw has been taped. I know there's spoilies out there. We don't want to talk spoilies at all. I know this will kind of lead into our Smackdown review, but I haven't had Smackdown. But when we get to calls and other fun stuff, comments, please no spoilers for Raw.
Yes, we're trying to keep it to whatever's aired.
Yeah.
That's because what we're seeing visually. So, yeah. So, Nikki, again, a lot to take away on Raw, but let us know in the comments below. What was your takeaways from Raw? Hello, Tamatanga. Travel.
We know.
Right hand man. But let us know, what are your takeaways from Raw? We want to hear from all of you. And again, shortly, we will open up the phone line. So if you want to call in, chat wrestling with us, we want to hear from all of you. Love it.
I do love him.
Great. So, Nikki, this won't make Tama that happy. But we move along to our AEW Dynamite portion of our segment. Overall, what were your thoughts on Dynamite this week, Nikki?
Obviously there's a lot of things going on backstage and changes kind of in front and behind the camera, and things are all bleeding into each other. Your EVPs, the Young Bucks, are off TV. then Bryan Danielson's not there anymore. Jimmy Jacobs is no longer in creative. And then all the things backstage is that, like, Moxley is kind of definitely doing his storyline. I know RJ City has a lot to do with it. I kind of feel this feels a little more cohesive as a show.
Okay. A line, yeah, I guess so.
I don't know. I enjoyed this week's AEW. Again, they shoved so much shit into the show, and I would love to have them reel that back a little bit. But again, there's these glimmers of hope that I'm just like stringing these all together.
Yeah, true. Well, let's get into it. Let's get into some of the Dynamite reviews as we take away our big 3 takeaways. So we start chronological order. Roderick Strong takes on Lance Archer. And again, you have to win 3 in a row to face MJF because he loves these little tournaments. And Nikki's boy, Roddy Strong, ends up on top in a Falls Count Anywhere match. A lot of kendo sticks, a lot of tables, which Undisputed Kingdom shows up. I forget which one. Taven gets put through a table. And ultimately, Roddy Strong gets the W over Archer, who, again, is just like big jobber again. Poor guy. Jake the Snake made a good trade, it seems.
Yeah, well, also the Don Callis thing, because that kind of led into
the Takeshita? Is that what you're saying?
No, the beginning. I don't know if we're going to talk about it, but Fletcher Ospreay had their promo off. Again, their promos just go like a smidgel too long. Like, I want to reel it in like 2 sentences. But
oh, yes.
Ospreay was like, I know, I've been in the family, I know people are coming out. And then that's when Lance Archer and Brian Cage come out. Brian Cage has a beautiful new beard. I'm all about it. And then he's like, well, I got people too. And Hobbs and Mark Davis come out. So then they smudged. And then Roddy's music hit. And then Lance is standing at the top of the tunnel waiting for him to come out. And then Roddy comes out of the other tunnel. So I loved how that bled into the Falls Count Anywhere match.
Okay, so you like the flow of how they
it feels like kind of how like Raw and SmackDown have been. Like, you're walking backstage and this leads to this. Like, I like how that all kind of blended together.
Fair enough. So ultimately, Roddy gets the win in this match. Bleeds into the next match, which we think could be a triple threat. Could lead to a triple threat.
Yes. So again, Takeshita, it's Cole and Takeshita. Cole has to beat Takeshita to get into the MJF Roddy match. They each had to win 3. Roddy won his 3. Now Cole has to beat Takeshita to win his 3. Again, MJF, I don't know if it was whatever Dynamite it was. He basically contracted and talked to Don to get his family to take out Cole and Roddy.
Exactly. So ultimately, Takeshita, who is probably, well, yes, he is. He's a champion, no matter what way you look at it. Anyway, is a greater threat than Lance Archer. Mm-hmm. So Takeshita takes on Cole in a good match, but ultimately, there's a little gift left under the ring from MJF. His Dynamite is newly found, regained love in his Dynamite diamond ring. Takeshita uses it, gets the fall, ultimately knocks out and gets the fall over Adam Cole, which leads us to AEW Full Gear here in Newark, New Jersey, where Roddy Strong will solo, one-on-one, man-to-man, face MJF. So how do you feel about that?
Well, I think we all know, if you're a regular here with us, I think most people know my love for Roddy. I know Roddy's not going to win. I know MJF's going to win, obviously. I don't think Undisputed can come out. It doesn't matter. MJF is winning. But I like that it puts Roddy on a singles match, on a pay-per-view. I kind of like him, I think him being in the ring with the MJF leads him up the card a little bit. I think it's a good showing for him. I like Adam Cole not being in this match. We want to see MJF Cole solo And to me, that has to be at World's End.
So
that's where Cole cost MJF the belt.
So here's where my selfishness
So he has to get the win back.
I disagree with you just for this reason. I would love to see this now because I guess maybe I was there in person. It was a big reveal of him as the devil. His first big promo was in New Jersey. So it'd be kind of nice for him to say, like, all right, in New Jersey, this is where the reveal happened, whatever. But it wasn't the reveal, so I guess I'm kind of wrong. So to your point, if it's over the belt at the pay-per-view, I guess I can agree with it. I'm not as big a Roddy fan as you, obviously. I'd rather see Cole MJF twice than Roddy as an interim that we all know Roddy's not winning this match.
That doesn't mean you can't enjoy the match.
Partly for me.
Whatever, you just hate that
I do. You love him. No. So we move along. So from the Undisputed Kingdom, whatever they're calling Roddy White challenging MJF, we move into.
You just call him Roddy White?
Right. Oh yeah, I did. Oh, Roddy White was that was a football player. Oh man.
Roderick Strong.
Oh, Roderick Strong. Roddy White. Man, that was like 19. Oh man. Roddy White.
Also, I want you to put a little respect to my name.
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. Our non, our non-football fans here wouldn't know. Maybe our Atlanta contingent. If we have Atlanta fans,
Steven.
They'll know because I think Roddy White only played in Atlanta. Yeah. But yeah, I'm pretty sure about that one. But moving on to the middle of the show, which ended up, again, encompassing this Death Rider storyline, Jon Moxley, where, to be perfectly honest, Jon Moxley is now a marked man. So, Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin are targeting Jon Moxley's hostile takeover. Nikki, how do you feel about the Death Riders and this storyline?
I love it because I think it came out when we were away that they're calling themselves the Death Riders. I know we talked about it, whatever was like trademarked. I think we talked about it with Steven. I was like, wasn't on board. I like them calling themselves the Death Riders. I really love Orange Cassidy coming out. I loved his promo when he's fighting Yuta next week. And he was like, oh, you said before, it's like we're playing checkers while you're playing chess. Well, I'm going to take out, and he's like, oh, I see all these little pawns. I'm going to take out the pawn to get the king. And I really like that line. I love it's more serious.
And then Wheeler's like, I'm no pawn. And he gets yelled at by Claudio like, you're a bitch.
Shut up.
Yeah, but he's just being like, you're a bitch.
Yeah.
You're my bitch.
I really love heel Claudio. I love Claudio. I love him as a heel. I loved in your video, and I love during Dynamite that they had this sign that said the bar. It's just like Claudio's face. I don't think that was intentional, but it made me laugh. But I do like this more serious OC. Again, he's dressed in black, so he's serious pants. Again, I don't see him beating Moxley, but again, I think it'll be a good match. Again, OC said, like, I beat you before. So.
Right. So, I mean, it could happen again, but it won't.
Like, I'm into it. I think this kind of have the story, like, this overarching, like, baddies that, like, there's different individual groups that have to take them down.
Exactly. And then he comes out and he says, like, you have no friends, basically, like, you're dumb. And he's like, no, I got my friends. And he shows up. And ultimately, they push them back into the crowd.
Mm.
And we do see
Darby wearing a pink Sting mask to match his probably very smelly pink sweatshirt.
Where's Ed? He's wearing the same. What was that talking about? His jacket or sweatshirt?
Yeah, this is the pink jacket that he always wears.
So he dives off and ultimately comes after Mox and the whole Death Rider crew. Mox is helped away from Marina.
Yeah, Marina. And also sign out Roddy's wife in real life. I love wrestling.
So ultimately, I mean, to me, I think we're at the point where, again, like I think Orange is just kind of the intermediate, just like Roddy is with the MJF Cole, just to get you through. He's the pawn to get you through. To potentially, it seems like Darby Mox is the match that they're trying to set up. And I don't know. I mean, Darby is one of the pillars of the company, so he's due to get that main event run and main event shot. So I said, like, it's the whole Sting, like he was channeling his inner Sting, and they're trying to make him like skateboarder Sting. I'm trying to say that 3 times fast. But it's going to take a little time. I just wonder if it's going to get there and the payoff is going to be worth it, or is Darby another pawn in this whole storyline to get to some other bigger talent? Like, is Kenny Omega someone, coming back? Like, could he come back and reclaim the company? It has to be someone big, and it's either going to be an original that's grown up in the company and made their name within the company, like a Darby Allin type, or an Orange Cassidy type, or it's someone like that.
See, the thing for me is this has to go for a while. Like, I think like Double or Nothing, or All In, All Out, whatever the Texas one, All In. No, All Out. I need Boozies. It needs to be one of the bigger people. It needs to be like their Mania SummerSlam. Like, it's not happening.
The Starcade.
Yeah, it needs to be at the bigger pay-per-view. And I think, honestly, Mox sort of just got the belt. They sort of just started the storyline. Like, this needs to run for a little bit. Like, Mox needs to take out I think he needs to take out OC. I think he needs to take out Darby Allin. Like, he needs to take out some of the kids for a little bit. And I think you need to build someone up. Like, would it be like Daniel Garcia that, like, rises through the ranks and to come after Moxley in 6 months?
Maybe. Yeah, like
does Kenny come back in 6 months healthy to be like, this is the company I started, I have to take it, I have to, this is not what we started, blah, 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 to get his company back.
Yeah, there's options. Who do you all want to see? Like, who eventually Mox has got to drop the belt. He's a 4-time champion, the first 4-time champion in company history. Who do you want to see him drop the belt to? There's right now, it doesn't seem like too many options, but is there a dark horse that we don't know about?
Also, just want to backtrack slightly. Marina got Mox away, and they're like running backstage, and they get to their black truck, and then I think it's Tony or Excalibur, one of them's yelling like they don't have Wheeler, like they're leaving without Wheeler. And that's when Darby comes out and he grabs Claudio, and then Claudio swings him into the garage thing, and then they go to run away, and then Wheeler jumps in the back of the truck at the last second.
Right.
So it's like they don't care about. It's more like showing they don't care about Yuta, I think. And then also it's going to be Claudio Darby at Dynamite as well as OC. I think OC will take out. It's going to be 1-1. Like either OC or Darby's winning, and then like 1-1. I think OC will beat Yuta, and then Claudio will take out Darby. There's going to be shenanigans and stuff.
Oh yeah, no, it's not going to be straight through. Darby just for commentary on this show. Not sure. Not sure you meant on that one, Steve. But yeah, let us know. I hear from all you. So moving into the main event of Dynamite, and we'll glance over it because we haven't touched on them, but we do love them very much so. But the House of Black did take on FTR.
Well, it's Knights of the Black Throne representing the House of Black, because that's the tag team when PWG was the thing, and I think somewhere else they have the tag belts. That when Malachi, Boom Black, and Brody tag team together, they're House of the Black Throne.
So House of the Black Throne qualified. Ultimately, they win and they qualify, thanks mostly to Brody's heavy lifting. But this was a crazy match. A lot of great spots. A lot of good, again, the athleticism between everyone in this match. You have FTR, one of the best tag teams in the world right now, and you have Aleister Black, Malachi Black, who I think is one of the best wrestlers in the world and just very underrated. And Brody King, who's a 300-plus pound guy who can do crazy things in the ring. So this ended up being a phenomenal match, and Brody King got a tremendous push at the end of this. I think he looked really, really strong. So ultimately, they move on. But my question is, with this great opportunity, now we see a victory. How should the House of Black be booked? Because they really have so much potential, and with the roster seemingly, I don't know. I don't want to say flux on AEW, but I think there's so much potential to make this group an elite group. And as we talk about the Death Riders, this could be a group that could oppose them. I could totally see, again, you have Marina. Julia Hart is coming back, which was announced at the end of this match. Julia Hart is returning.
It wasn't at the end of this match.
Oh, well, there's a promo. Sorry.
There was a vignette. Yeah.
Vignette, sorry. That was at the end of the match. My time is a little off. But Julia Hart is returning, so you have Marina Julia Hart, who was the former TBS champion.
Yes, and she dropped the belt because she was injured.
So yes, she former TBS champion, so she has credibility. I think the numbers even out for the groups, depending on wherever Wheeler Yuta stands and shakes up. Could this be a group that could challenge for that title and move up? I really think the House of Black has so much untapped potential in AEW, and they're just not used. Nikki, how do you feel the House of Black should be booked?
Well, backtracking slightly, because you have the graphic up, but this match was to be whoever won this is inserted into a fatal four-way match for Private Party's tag team champions. Right now, obviously, it's Private Party, who are the champs. The Outrunners, who everyone and their mother loves. And now House of Black. Knights of the Black Throne. And then tomorrow, it is the Acclaimed versus Roosh and the Beast Mortos for next Faction Del Japón, or whatever they're called. Faction Day that word. Not gonna come to my mouth. I'm too comfortable.
You weren't good in Spanish in high school, so go on.
How dare you? I was in the Spanish Honor Society. I also wasn't, 2 cocktails deep in Spanish class.
You know what's universal in Spanish and English?
Oh, God.
Boo. Anyway,
Los Ingobernables de Japón. Any Hooters. But everyone made a big deal out of Malachi Black hugging Adam Cole at the end of their match the other week. At the end of this, FTR and Brody and Malachi shook hands and hugged. Are they turning House of Black face to maybe go after the Death Riders, to maybe do something? I don't see them winning the tag belts. I think it's to get them on pay-per-view. I think, again, very athletic. I think it's going to be a very fun tag match. But I think maybe with Private Party, with the Outrunners, you need a different flavor in that soup. So I think that's why they won. And then with the Julia Hart...
Well, also, not to cut you off, but also you could, FTR's a household name as a tag team. So you could always put them, and they give a significant rub to whoever they compete one-on-one with. So that's a one-on-one match standalone by itself to whoever. So you don't need to put them in a fatal four-way.
Agreed. And I'm also kind of glad that they did one. As much as I do love FTR, I have like 4,000 FTR shirts that I'm sure you all seen wear in this podcast. But I do think they maybe need a little break from the tag, being the top of the tag division. Again, like putting over, Knights of Black Throne. I think that does do a lot. With Julia Hart, kind of go back to my thing, and again, her promo, it was like she woke up in a bed, or her vignette, she woke up in a bed, and she doesn't know where she is, and there's the old-timey phone rings, and she answered it, and it's Brody Lee's voice. Brody Lee. Brody Lee.
Brody King.
Brody King, who named himself Brody after Brody Lee. So it's Brody saying, you need to come home. And she's like, I don't know where I am. And then this red flash of light, and she opens these little doors, and her hat's there, and she puts her hat back on. But it wasn't it was obviously spooky. But I said this to you, can they be spooky in face? I don't know if this is...
The Wyatts are spooky in face.
True.
That's it. The House of Black, they're going to do the same thing.
I'm thinking maybe this is the way they're slowly turning face.
I could see that.
Again, with, they're saying...
If you need a group to challenge them, maybe this is the group. So, I don't know. Let us know in the comments below. Do you think this could be the group to challenge the Death Riders? And now, death is coming for everybody. So, as we put a bow on our AEW Dynamite review of the week, Nikki, are you ready for some Smackdown? Smackdown preview. We are a little over an hour out of Smackdown. Eastern time. A minute. A little over. That's a little over. That wouldn't be under. So, math is hard. There we go. So, let's move along into Smackdown, which tonight, so we'll start with a match that we know is on the card for this evening. The Street Profits challenging the Motor City Machine Guns for the tag team titles. Now, if the Street Profits lose, they're going to break up. The question is this the end of the Street Profits?
Sorry, Angelo Dawkins. Also, they just did the storyline with Private Party, and again, Private Party won the belts. I don't see them taking this off the Machine Guns anytime soon. Especially on a SmackDown. I know they weren't on a SmackDown, so I can't say that for sure. But I had this too early in their run. And Street Profits have been together for a very long time. Everyone has said that Montez Ford is the star, even though I think Dawkins has grown leaps and bounds since NXT. But I told you I would love for Montez Ford to get in the men's US title scene, with Mello and Andrade and him and, LA Knight having matches and promos, maybe it's just time to separate. And if they're just going to be all right, we kind of like what SCU did a couple years ago in AEW, when they kind of all right, we lost our match and broke up. It's not like Frankie and CD, so no one turned on each other and they fought. It was just all right, well, we're going to go on, kind of like with Trick and Mello, all right, we're just, I guess it turned into a thing. But amicably, I'm going to do my thing, you do your thing, and maybe put Dawkins on Raw. Maybe just split them.
Yeah, well, everyone knows that obviously Ford has a lot of potential, and again, with the mid card on SmackDown being as potentially weak as it is, it could use it. So yeah, I'd be excited to see what could happen and how far this could go. And again, with the Guns and what they've done to build them up so far, it kind of makes sense on that front. So, Nikki, we're in the 7:00 hour. We are...
It's the witching hour?
It is the witching hour.
When wins become losses and losses become wins?
Exactly. Let's open up the phone lines. We said we'd do it around 7, so let's get to it. Oh, where is it? I missed my phone. There we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. ladies and gentlemen, we open up the phone lines. We say it every week. You never know who's going to show up on the Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour. Ladies and gentlemen, veteran of WWE, ECW. He has trained some of the greats. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Mr. Al Snow.
Hi there. How are you?
Welcome in, Al.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Happy Friday. Happy Friday, man.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Everyone loves the weekend. So Al, take us through. Obviously, you've been doing a lot since, obviously WWE days with OVW. What have you been up to, lately, and obviously, what are your focuses, now with your career and obviously moving up?
Well, I'm as far as wrestling is concerned, I'm still doing an occasional appearance here and there where I can, as far as scheduling, because of so many responsibilities with OVW. But I do get out and I get to go to Comic Cons and conventions and occasional wrestling shows to meet up with people and get to see the fans and talk to them and interact with them. I have still involved with Collar and Elbow, the wrestling clothing line that we, myself and my partner Rod Hicks started, and still going along with that. Have comic books that are coming out with Broken Icon Comics, and that where we team up with Chavo Guerrero and Scotty 2 Hotty and Tommy Dreamer, and they're the wrestling characters, but they have nothing to do with wrestling. Scotty 2 Hotty is an assassin story, and Tommy Dreamer is a set during the Prohibition days story and a gangster story. And Chavo's was a Western with his horse Pepe. So
interesting take on.
Yeah. So and then I've been doing stand-up comedy for a while now, and that's been going great. And have a movie out on Amazon and Apple Plus and Vudu right now called Unnatural. It's a supernatural Western that I star in. And then I've got another one coming out November 19th called Homeless for the Holidays, which is a Christmas comedy movie. And so, yeah. And then OVW, of course, really eats up a lot of my days and a lot of my time, all the responsibilities. And we do live television. We're outside of WWE and AEW. I think we're the only other company that does live weekly television. We do a 2-hour show every Thursday night from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And we're live on Triller and YouTube and Facebook, and also our local broadcast channel, WBNA, if you live in the Louisville area. And then we go out nationally on multiple cable and broadcast and streaming networks that take us to about 100 million homes across the country, between Canada and all the way down to Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, Bahamas, and Guam. So,
wow, yeah, a lot of coverage there. So
yeah.
you kind of touched on it. Obviously doing the comedy. Do you feel like the transition, being in front of the audience for so many years, was, I remember like Nick Nemeth does a lot of the comedic side of things as well. Like, do you find that transition was a lot easier for you, just having been in front of the camera for so many years?
The acting is definitely, it's a whole different skill that you have to really learn and adapt to, and it has its own etiquette and expectations and things within the world of acting. So you've got to basically, every one of these new ventures, you got to kind of pay your dues. But I certainly was a lot more comfortable than I would imagine somebody that's never been in front of an audience before would be. But comedy and stand-up comedy and wrestling are very, very similar, and definitely in the respect that you have to be 100% honest with who you are and who you're presenting on stage, and so that the audience is able to believe in you, because in both wrestling and in stand-up comedy, that's ultimately the most important thing, is that an audience is able to believe in who you are and what you're presenting. So, so it's been fun. It's been a lot of different challenges, and just got done working. Haven't finished it up, but we're doing a wrestling movie, but it's a musical. And yeah, I actually sing in this musical with my wonderful voice, and they don't call me the Velvet Fog for nothing. So, but it's loosely based like a live action Muppet movie. So.
Oh, that's awesome. You don't see, again, there's like, we talk about like unique takes on the industry and things like that. Like that's something you don't see coming out. And you talk about, like, you kind of touched on it, like in terms of, I guess kind of like getting over and things like that. Being in the industry, how have you felt like things have changed in your experience right now? You're going to the point, you're obviously mentored a lot of talent. Like, what do you feel like it takes now to get over versus in the past, or how have things changed?
Same things. The most, like I've said, the most important thing that a wrestler can do and have to learn is who they are, so they can present that to the audience and turn the volume up really, really loud on that aspect of their personality. Nothing else works. Playing a character doesn't work, because wrestlers aren't actors. They're more reactors. If they're actors, they're closer to being method actors than anything else, where they actually adopt the role. And it's necessary because, unlike in TV or movies, you have a direct relationship with the audience, and they can sense when you're not being real. And the two most important things are, one, for them to be able to believe in you, who you are, and two, to be able to describe you to their friends and family in a sentence or less. Those two qualities need to be cultivated as a performer in anything, because that is what makes you a star. Anybody can be famous. It literally takes no talent to be famous. And fame is very, very, very fleeting. It doesn't last. But once you're a star, you're always a star.
Well put, Nikki.
I think Shawn Michaels has said that with his NXT kids, he'd rather have someone with like, I can teach you how to wrestle. I want someone with charisma. Do you kind of agree with that philosophy of training people, or what's your own, and how do you feel about that?
Yeah, absolutely, yes. But I think personally, more important than charisma, more important than size, muscularity. I've seen tons and tons of talented people that had all the physical capabilities, all the athleticism, all of the, the looks, the charisma, the etc. You can go down the list. They didn't have passion, and without that, it's they can have all that potential, and it'll all go to waste. They'll never truly be successful because they're not passionate enough to take the steps to put the work in to take them to that place.
We had a couple months back, we had Crowbar on the show, and we were talking about wrestling in terms of training and moves, and with his move, which is similar, I guess I'm going to call it, he's going to hate on me, but jaded, like the functionality of the move being safe, and I guess, what do you feel like do you feel there's a big flaw, or what's the common flaw that you see, whether it's an indie wrestler or like with young wrestlers that they make at a young age in terms of being safe or just coming up through the ranks?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I apologize. Somebody called while I'm doing this on the phone. So inevitably, it always happens. The biggest flaw is that moves don't matter. They're completely inconsequential. I can prove it easily, and I can explain. The problem with the young performers is that they don't know the art of selling. Now, what do I mean? Well, they think, and so do you, that selling is acting like you're hurt. And that's not selling. You're not selling the pain of what's been done. What you're all, because an audience will never buy it. Hence the term sell, to buy, convince an audience of your pain or injury. They're never going to buy that because they can't physically relate to what's been done to you. They've never experienced it. That's why I always try to use this analogy to make you understand. That's why baseball, football, and basketball have such enormous audiences in the United States. Everybody in the United States at one time or another has played baseball, even if it's just in the backyard, picked up a basketball and dribbled it down the driveway, if nothing else, and have always, and they've played football, with the, if not with just the, the family reunion or whatever. We've all done it. So we have a physical relationship. That's why, there's a bigger audience for hockey in Canada than there is in the United States where people played hockey. That's why there's now professional soccer teams developing in the United States because more generations of children have been playing soccer over the last 20 or 30 years. Prior to that, there wasn't as much of an audience for soccer here in the United States, but the three most watched televised sporting events in the world, the top three, at number one is the World Cup of Soccer. At number two is the World Cup of Cricket. Don't ask me why, other than the fact more people play cricket around the world than anything else. And I don't understand that game. I've watched it 1,000 times, and I'm like, I don't get a clue what is happening. And the third is the World Cup of Rugby, because more people around the world play those three sports than anything else. So it's a matter of relatability. And so with professional wrestling, if you've never taken a bump, you've never been clotheslined, which unless you live in a trailer park and you get into a fight at the laundromat there, you're probably not going to experience these things. But to sell is to sell who you are, convince them of who you are, because again, that's the number one important thing they want to believe. Because if they believe in who you are, they'll believe in anything you say or do, period. That goes in life, not just in wrestling. And then with the moves, the objective is to sell your intent, that you're not just doing the move, you're doing it to try to win. You're trying to convince the audience you're trying to utilize this to win. And then if it's done to you, it's not the pain that you're trying to express. You're trying to express the consequence of that move. That if you get hit again, or you get slammed again, or if you don't get out of this hold, you might lose that match. Because that really the overall thing that in wrestling, because there's only one thing that's fake, is that we know we're not winning, or we know we are. And we now need to convince you of our intent, that we're out there solely to win and not lose, because we're prize fighters. And just like a boxer or an MMA fighter, if we don't win, we don't get paid, or we don't get paid as much. Hence why we want a title, not just to show that we're the best, but a title means that I'm now going to be assured that I'm going to make more money. And that's why it's important.
No, well put. Nikki?
Going off of that, is there moves that you wish like people kind of retired and didn't use anymore, or like moves people don't really use anymore that you'd love to see kind of be back in people's repertoires?
Oh, the first, let me go with the moves that I think they shouldn't do. There's really only two, and in OVW, these are the only two that I will put my foot down and will not be happy if I see you do. And because they're not done for any other reason than they're being done for the audience in the locker room. And you never do anything for an audience in the locker room. You do it for the audience that's paid money to see you. So, and I'm very reasonable. If a talent comes to me and can explain to me how someone in the building can physically relate to the increased risk of injury that you're now taking by doing these two things, I'll be like, okay, go do it. But if you can't, then no, you're not. Because the truth of the matter is, every time a young man or a young woman go to the ring, there is a percentage of a chance that they could suffer a life-altering or life-ending injury. And I've seen it happen numerous times. And you know, the two moves are, number one is a buckle bomb, which where you basically pick them up in a power bomb position and literally launch the person backwards, where they're not in control. They can't see. They can't protect themselves, and you launch them into the corner where actually either very taut real rope or taut steel cable is intersecting, and it's held there by an actual metal turnbuckle. That's why it's called a turnbuckle, because it's a turnbuckle. That bit of padding that's on there provides very little protection. And even if you're running, if you notice sometimes guys will take a corner, they'll run into the corner where they're whipped into it. If they hit that even a little bit off, they catch that rope or whatever, it hurts. So now you're relying on somebody who's now throwing you. And to that point, there were tons of dream matches, money matches when Sting came to WWE that could have been held and they could have drawn a lot of money. All of it went out the window because he took a buckle bomb and was injured and then therefore couldn't work and thought his career was over. So that's a big no for me. The second one is anytime you bump your opponent on the ring apron. That's just stupid. That ring apron is the most dangerous. It's not it is the hardest place in the ring, but it is the most dangerous place in the ring because you have a 90-degree angle of steel that's right there along with the edge, the lip of a 2x12 usually, that's sitting there. And the padding does very little to protect against that. And I've seen a lot of people over my 42 years in the business get severely injured on those ring aprons. And, if you can explain to me how an audience member knows that right there is the hardest place on the ring and it will do more physical damage than bumping somebody in the center, then I'm all for it. But they don't because they've never been in the ring. They don't know what it feels like. So now you're not doing it again for the audience. You're doing it for the boys backstage. And unfortunately, that's what I'm seeing predominantly now everywhere you go is that the majority of the performers, because there are no real workers anymore, the majority of the performers that are in the wrestling business nowadays try to perform for each other. They try to impress each other with what they're doing. That's why they're always so uptight and nervous and have to memorize everything they're going to do. When before they go out there, they're scared that they'll make a mistake. And quite honestly, the God's honest truth is that the only people that will realize you made a mistake are just simply the people in the backstage area that would be able to know and watch for it. No one in the audience is going to, because they're not there to identify a mistake in your performance. They're there to want to believe and to forget about their troubles, about the fact that they owe a hospital bill, that, they're behind on, a car payment. They want to come and just forget, and they want to have fun, and they want to believe in you, and they want to believe in why you're doing it. And that's it.
No, well put. So with obviously we touched on with OVW, Nikki and I we watched the Netflix documentary. We loved it.
Thank you.
I guess a lot of people talk about documentaries and posts, the post production and the way things are edited. How do you feel? Do you feel like you like the way you're portrayed, or was there things that you liked about it? What didn't you like about the documentary, or was there things you wish were in it that weren't, that didn't make it?
Oh, there's lots of. I mean, they were there. You had Greg Whiteley, who was just an incredibly wonderful, talented human being, and his crew. They were there from the end of the last week of May till all the way through the end of August. And they were filming anywhere from 12 to 16 hours a day, quite honestly, 7 days a week. So there's lots of stuff that they got footage of that they didn't, include, on on the actual finished show, because there's just no way they could. You know, they organized it in a way to tell a story, a beginning, a middle, and an end. And you know, and I think they did a wonderful job. I don't care how I was, you know, portrayed, because I told them the same. I'll tell anybody else if when they came in, I said, I don't know what, you know, they kind of at first were trying to, hey, we, you know, can you do this? Can you do that? No, I said, I'm sorry, I can't. I said, because whatever I say and whatever I do is going to be exactly the same whether you're here or not. I said, because when you leave, I said, I'm still going to be here, and I'm still going to be responsible for all of this talent, all of the staff, and I meant what I said. And my reputation and my name are still going to be at stake on OVW. And I said, you know, you leave, I've got to now go out in the wrestling world, and if anybody doesn't like how, you know, what I say or act, I have to own it, and I have to be responsible for it. I said, so if I'm going to be held, I'm going to have my feet held to the flame for something I said or do, then it's going to be something I would say or do, no matter what, whether you're here or not. So I said, you can turn the cameras on. I'm not going to do anything or say anything or act any different than what I would if you weren't here. So, and that's exactly what I did. So, you know, it was funny because you know, you turn the camera on with the wrestlers, man, you know, they amp it up, you know, and a couple of the owners were, you know, they were a little, you know, hollow or whatever, but it was funny because there toward the end, at first I was confused because Greg Whiteley, the director, just turned to me one day and he goes, you are exactly the same person whether the camera's on or off. And I go, yeah, I told you that when you got here. And I was like taken back by it because I was like, is that a compliment or are you upset about that? I don't know what to tell you at this point because I'm not going to change. So.
Yeah, I guess what is your expectations? And I apologize if I have the timeline wrong. I think post the Netflix where you became co-owner is that correct?
Well, I've been a co-owner since 2018.
Oh, apologies. Yes, I must have that.
Yeah. No, I ribbed myself in 2018. They were like, buy a wrestling company. It'll be fun, they said. It ain't.
Well, actually, you know, and kind of like talking about the ownership side of things, like recently, what was it, 2 weeks ago, right before we left, you know, the WWE ID, now they're purchasing, you know, schools. What is your feeling
they're
about
not purchasing?
Oh, I'm not purchasing. Sorry, I apologize.
They're creating a kind of a looser but kind of developmental type system, which I think is great, you know, and really I hope that it can grow and develop because years ago when we were starting to get multiple developmental systems. We had OVW as one. They had there for a period of time the one in Atlanta with Jody Hamilton, and then they were going to do the one in Florida with Steve Kern. And I know that, you know, Booker T at the time was attempting to get one, you know, get his in Texas. And I thought that was fantastic because it's an awesome way to, you know, and I tried to do the same thing on my own with the Al Snow Wrestling Academy to try to create a system where you can have a talent say comes to OVW and because every talent, no matter what, are going to have what we call is in the business a run because wrestlers are no ifs, ands, or buts. They're a product. So every product has a shelf life. So, you know, much like back in the day, you could have a guy, let's say, because Cody started with me here in OVW. Cody comes in, he's a babyface, does great, have a run with him. You know what? Let's send him, you know, hey, Booker, I got Cody up here. Would you like to take a look at him? Booker goes, yeah, you know, and he goes, I can't use him as a babyface. I could probably use him as a heel down here. I go, hey, take him. Now Cody goes down to Texas. What's the upside to that? Well, the audience in Texas, contrary to popular belief, because it's still in the same country, but quite honestly, is a different audience. They have a slightly different culture in Texas. So what worked in Louisville, Kentucky may not work in Texas. So now he's going to get experience and learn to adapt, and he's going to figure out a way to, get his heat there. Well, now he goes out to California, and of course the culture out there and the audience is slightly different, and he's going to have to adapt and figure out what works for him, why it works for him, and then maybe he comes back to Louisville, and then finally goes up and on the national level. Well, now you've got a performer who, has a very unique approach that's all his own, because a lot of times when you put them in these closed systems, it becomes very incestuous, and you get a lot of copying, and therefore they subconsciously develop along the same lines to where they all kind of look alike and they all kind of perform the same, have the same vibe. Now you got a guy who's got his own unique vibe that he's created from being in multiple places, and he knows what works for him and why it works for him, and now knows how to appeal to as broad an audience as possible. So he's ready to be an attraction on the national stage, and that was what was the upside to having the territories, was the ability to go from territory to territory, because ultimately there's only one lie in wrestling, and that is that the finish. That's the only thing that's fake. And whether you went to Oregon or you went to New York or you went to Memphis or you went to Indiana or you went to, Michigan, every promoter had their own way and their own approach and their own style that worked for them in that area, but they all sold the same thing, which was just who the wrestler was and the finish. And you learned and developed on how to do that. And that's why, the 80s were so strong as far as popularity of wrestling on a national level, because Vince had went around and brought in all of those workers at that time that had all that experience from going from territory to territory.
I think that what you were trying to get to, Nick, is this ID program is supposed to be like a feeder system, like a pipeline. And I think that what people are nervous about, kind of what you just kind of said with the territory, that what happened in the UK, where when they did NXT UK, they kind of ate up that kind of indie scene and hired all the good people that was kind of in that crowd. And I think people are kind of worried that in the US that could happen, that all of a sudden that might take all the good people.
Like a monopoly of sorts.
Yeah. I think that's what you're
well, the wrestling scene or independent wrestling scene is a little bit more prolific in the United States than it is in the UK. And yeah, that's going to happen, but that also means that for all of the ones that are at this level now, okay, once they go up to WWE, that gives room for all the other independent talent that were being overlooked to rise to that level, to now be seen and potentially go up and just keep doing that. And I think they've refined their approach a little bit more from what they had done in the UK to what they're now doing with this ID program, that will allow them to be able to better groom talent, because ultimately the developmental part of a program is not to teach wrestlers to wrestle. It is to teach them how to be an attraction and how to be a star. And that's what it's for.
Well put. I guess, I'll try and wrap this up, trying to be cognizant of everyone's time here. But I guess, what's your expectation with OVW, moving forward? You have some stars that you're building up there. Obviously getting a lot of recognition over the last couple of years, and obviously prior to that, where do you expect to go in the future, in the next couple of years?
Just to keep growing, and the goal ultimately for us is to have a network partnership of some sort with some television network that we can, because that's one of the main monetizations that you can do, is to monetize your television show through both ad revenue and sponsorships, and primarily, a network paying you for producing the show for the content. That's the ideal world. That's the dream. So, we're trying, working towards that. We've upgraded production on numerous levels, and We're the only, and as far as educationally, we're, the academy's going great. We're the only wrestling training school that is actually certified by the State Office of Proprietary Education as a trade school for professional wrestling, sports entertainment, and broadcasting. So the next, we got that certification, and so the next step is to get accredited by a educational organization. There's one that oversees trade and vocational schools, and that's just red tape and money. That's all it is. But once we get accredited, then we can, then get, tuition paid for by, student finance, GI Bill, FAFSA, scholarships, all of that. We could operate just like a regular actual trade school. So
that's awesome.
Nikki?
I always have our last question because we're from New Jersey. I usually ask pork roll or Taylor ham, but you can just tell us what's your favorite breakfast sandwich or favorite breakfast.
So what? My favorite breakfast is probably steak and eggs.
Delicious.
Protein.
I love steak and eggs.
Why am I nuts?
You guys don't have Waffle House in New Jersey. You've got diners, but you don't have Waffle House.
It's all like Jersey diners.
Yeah, you got the Jersey diners. That's and listen, you're missing out. The Jersey diners are nice. I love the diners up in the Northeast. Nothing beats a Waffle House because you always get dinner and a show. So
Jersey's weird in the sense that like it's such a hybrid community because like we're so close to New York City and like we get that whole city vibe.
But then when you get further south, you're more Pennsylvania. Yeah. It's a weird state.
And there's so many different like just the culture and like the food. It's just so different. It's
pretty cool. I love coming to New Jersey and seeing everybody there. And I've been there lots, over the years, and I've always had a fond spot in my heart for New Jersey. That's for sure.
Well, we appreciate that. Well, Al, before we let you go, where can everyone find you and let us know of your upcoming appearances and things like that?
Sure. If anybody is interested in OVW, they can go to obwrestling.com. If they're interested in the Academy, they can go to obwacademy.com. If they're interested in following me on social media, just follow me at The Real Al Snow. I came up with that name or handle for social media prior to the blue check mark because some people would fake being me. And if you do, it's not like it's going to get me hot. I'll just message you and go like, could you aim the bar higher? I mean, if you're going to be fake being a celebrity, be like George Clooney or, somebody like that. Jeez. Well, I don't even want to be Al Snow on social media, but I am. So, but that on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Real Al Snow, and check out my comic books at Boca Icon Comics. You can check out .com. You can check out Unnatural on Amazon right now. You can check out Homeless for the Holidays here on November 19th. I also do Magic for the Blind. They love card tricks, surprisingly. I gotta say ta-da after every trick or they don't know anything happened. I'm like, is this your card? And they're like, I don't know. And you go, it is ta-da. And they're like, oh my God, how do you do it? So it's just my way of giving back to the community,
That's amazing. No, Al, well, again, we can't thank you enough. We appreciate
the time.
And a pleasure. And again, best luck with everything. And we hope to, see more of you in the future.
I hope so too. Just not on America's Most Wanted. So.
Exactly.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Al Snow. Again, you never know. You never know who's going to show.
You never know who's going to show up at happy hour. Nick started the call thing. I was like, what's happening?
Yeah, we had this.
He's like, Al Snow's here.
Hold on, Wolf. You just never know who's going to show.
I really wanted to ask him about the...
Here's our buddies. Don't bear the lead. Al Snow's the man. He is the man.
Because originally
we had to.
can we talk about it? We were supposed to have it a couple of weeks ago, and
We had to reschedule.
We had to reschedule, and then we weren't sure if it was happening, so I didn't have my notes, and I wanted to talk about the Valentine's Day massacre when him and Bob Holly were fighting in the river, and there's no lights on.
We didn't have it all, but it's fine.
But like, I really love focusing on like the training and philosophy, and like hearing like that. Those were not two moves that I expected him to say remotely.
But the one I could totally see.
Well, yeah, when he first said, I was like, oh. And then he explained it, and I was like, no, but I was like, I just like love that perspective, and it's like not something that I would, like brainbusters or stuff on the top rope or whatever, but like I just thought it was so interesting. And just creative
unique take. So, well, phone lines are still open, believe it or not. So, do you want to rehash? Because I still got a little bit left. We'll rehash the phone line. So, let's try and do this. So, I think you can call in below and talk wrestling with us. That's how that's done. But we're gonna do it one more time. We'll run it back. The phone lines are now open. All right, so we're opening up the phone lines again. I guess they were kind of already open.
We had an exclusive line.
An exclusive line. That's why we call it private bar. Wait, no, private party. No, not a private party. Not that private.
No,
party.
Private function.
Private function.
That's the bar. You know how like some private bars have that back room that they have like function within. I didn't need to air quote. That sounded so much dirtier.
Well, however you want to do it. Regardless. We got a regular on the line. Who'd have thunk? Who'd have thunk it? Anyway, say his name, and he appears. Nathan.
I'm a scat man. I'm a scat
All right, we are back. Let's bring him in. Say his name and he appears. Steven!
Hello, everybody. Welcome back from your trip to the subcontinent.
Thank you.
Hope you had a nice time.
We did.
Yes. And let me echo Mr. Snow's statement in that, yes, we need a Waffle House here. I went to a Waffle House once, actually not far from where he is, a few years ago for my last employer on a business trip. And it was the first time I had ever been to Waffle House, and it was awesome. And we need one here. We could use a Cracker Barrel here too. So
Cracker Barrel, that I could be on board for sure. Cracker Barrel.
Yes.
Yeah. What is it? Smothered and something and something and something. How you order your food?
It's basically like a retail store meets like a restaurant.
No, not Waffle House.
Oh, I was talking about Cracker Barrel.
And they never close.
There's some things that never close too, but some things should close. Go on, Steve. What are you drinking? What are you thinking?
Oh, I'm thinking that was a great interview. Mr. Snow seems like a very nice man. It was nice to hear his philosophy on wrestling today and what's going on with him and OVW. I also enjoyed the Netflix show, and I'm hoping there will be more. And I'm hoping we see some of the wrestlers depicted on the show in more visible leagues somewhere down the line.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see, like, especially like, I think Hollywood, Haley J, I think will show up a lot more. I think she had an audition with AEW recently, like the last year or so, if I remember correctly, and she was a vocal point of that show. So like, I could definitely see her. Like, and there's a few others. Like Shara obviously had time in Impact or TNA, whatever they're called then. So there is a lot of potential out of OVW that I really am excited to see. What comes up in the next couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you I know you just had the interview. Did you ask if there was going to be more of the show, or was it just a one-off?
We didn't ask, but the way it seemed like more of a one-off. I don't know. Good question. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, but the way he was talking, it seemed but I don't want to put words in it. Hopefully there's a sequel. That'd be nice.
It seemed like he was kind of working on other things.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see his wrestling musical.
That's really exciting.
Was that the last match? The name of the show, I mean?
I don't know if that's because I know Tommy Miller was doing that and a bunch of other people. I don't know if it's the same thing.
No, I don't think so because
he said this was he said it was a movie, but that can be. I know like there was a bunch of people like Tommy Miller and like was it Mickey James or not?
I don't believe so, but I don't want to. We'll have to double check.
Right,
but I'm pretty sure because I'm pretty sure the name would have rang a bell if you said that.
Yeah, and I think he didn't. He just said it was a wrestling musical.
Yeah.
It was a movie about wrestling that's a musical. And I feel like if it was the last match, maybe he would have said it. I don't know. Again, don't want to put words.
Yeah. So
again, there was like a million things that I wish we got to and asked in.
But yeah.
Next time.
In 30 minutes we can get to a lot, but not everything. Regardless. Anyway, Steve, what else you got for us?
Okay, the Women's US Championship. I would love to see Chelsea Green be the first one. I don't think she's going to be the first one. I think she'll win it eventually. Maybe she'll be the second one, but I have a feeling the first winner of that is going to be a face. I mean, unless they turn Chelsea face.
Well, I mean, she kind of is in a weird way.
She does get really good pops.
Yeah, like because everyone appreciates. I think like because now the lines are blurred so much because of all the behind the scenes shows that I think people like really appreciate her. Like, oh, like she's authentic, she's funny, like she's just amusing. With her, with all the was it Charlie Caruso was over her in like Seattle with the whole
and Kathy Kelly.
Yeah, I was confused.
Yeah,
it's CC or it's alliteration. I was close. But yeah, like getting them together and like just like all the behind the scenes stuff. She becomes more endearing to the people, and like whether you're a face or a heel, it doesn't really matter. And then people like you. Like if you're good at what you like, MJF is a prime example of that. If you're good at what you do and you're a good heel, like people just keep cheering you because they know you're good.
Yeah, MJF's a good example of that, and MJF, is one. He never breaks character. It seems even away from the ring, and people still love him for it. So they cheer him no matter what.
Yeah. I mean, well, if you're good, you're good. I think that's really what matters, right? Like if you're real good, you're good, and we just want to see good. Like Ric Flair was a bad guy, but he was such a good heel wrestler that people just liked him. Yeah,
you loved to hate them, and that's the kind of villain you want to be. You don't want to be the kind of villain that gets the nuclear heat.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or I think some people refer to it as the X-Pac heat.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Steve, what else you got?
Oh, this Wyatt, you referred to it earlier, this Wyatt Sicks versus like that feud. I don't even know. Like there doesn't seem to be any purpose. Like here's a big group, here's another big group. Let's give them something to do.
Yeah.
And like, is it me or is the Wyatt Sicks like? Is it like cooling off and they're just becoming like just another group, or they're headed in that direction? I wouldn't say maybe they're there yet, but
I don't think so. I just think this is kind of your first point. Like it's just an interim to get them by, because I think the Judgment Day is actually their feud that they're waiting for WrestleMania, or like an 8-man tag at WrestleMania, because that's the group. Like it's like family versus family type deal. Like that's what it should be. So I think they're just trying to buy time to get through, because Final Testament's kind of been a interim kind of jobber group, which makes me feel bad because I I do like the group. I just think that they're getting beat. So they're giving them a little bit of momentum, but not enough that it's like, because I think we all, like, everyone knows, like, there's no what's the word I want, like, not question, what's the word, like, hint of, like, questionability of, like, oh, the Final Testament's gonna win. If they do an 8-man, like, the Final Testament could win. There's no thoughts that it wouldn't happen. Like, I think right now, if you put them on Monday night in a match, everyone's saying Wyatt Sicks are going to win, and they're going to win, and it's not going to be a surprise. Like, there's no, like, seed of doubt between this feud, and that's what worries me about a lot of feuds. Like, same thing with, like, it was like the Gable American Made. It was like they swept right through them, and it's like, oh, you made this group American Made just to get bowled over by them.
I wish the feud it was flipped. I wish they did Final Testament first and just decimated them, and then go to American Made and have that seeded out. Also, I have to strongly disagree with you. There's no way there's going to be a 4-on-4 at Mania between the Wyatts and the Judgment Day. There's no way that you're having Liv Morgan in an 8-man tag at Mania.
Well, technically, you have Raquel too. I'm just saying.
Sure.
No, I do agree with that. Liv's gonna, that's gonna be the culmination of the Liv Rhea feud, and they're gonna set it up for the next few months to make Liv look. They're gonna have Liv beat everybody in her path and make her look unbeatable. However, it is she beats these opponents. That's how it's going to be, because then it'll be more satisfying once Rhea beats her at Mania, if in fact that's going to be the plan, which I say right now that's 50-50.
Well, but again, like, why couldn't Raquel be the one to stand in that group? Because again, the whole group
you have to build Raquel. That sounds weird to say, but you have to build Raquel up. Like, unless she just came back, she just joined Liv. Like, why would she? Like, she shits on Carlito. Like, why would she, like...
That's why they should have won the tag titles.
Like, why would she jump in to be like, I'm going to represent Judgment Day with them? Like, it just seems when she's, like, Liv's heavy, she's going to...
Well, no, that's why, because she's Liv's heavy. So she represents Liv and does what Liv's asked. Just like on AEW, like, Camille's...
I hated that. Terrible. We didn't talk about it.
But we're not going to talk about it, because it's not really
but no, I have to... I want, again, like, Steve, I think we're on the same page. It's like, I'm worried that they already feel stale. I already hate this. I want more for them. I'm worried.
Fair enough. Steve, before we let you go, last shot.
I think Amazon is missing a wonderful opportunity by not having Ric Flair in their current commercials with all the woos.
I don't know if I've seen the commercial.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen the commercial, to be honest.
They go woo a lot, and it's like lyrics to a song, and it's supposed to be showing all the people using Amazon going woo, seeing all the product on Amazon, and then it arrives and they go woo again.
Woo, right? Like, there's no way you trademarked woo, right? You
It wouldn't surprise me, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
That's Jericho's job to trademark everything.
I know.
But there was a fight between Bryan and WWE about trademarking yes. Like, why couldn't you trademark woo? Like, I clearly had everyone.
It's just such a, just a random word. I don't know. Just a random, like,
I'm sorry. I thought you were familiar with those commercials because they seem to air like every commercial break.
During Raw or AEW?
During everything.
I really only watch on actual TV as wrestling.
Yeah. But yeah, during the wrestling shows, yes.
I will have to pay attention to the commercials next time, and I will report back to you.
Well, all right then.
Well, Steve, well put.
Salute.
Pleasure as always. You, sir, are cut off. That was a great call. That was a good call.
Yeah.
And as he mentioned it,
I know. I really don't pay attention to commercials.
No,
He's a real ring-a-ding-dong dandy. Thanks, guys.
Another great call.
I think that's the two things I did like about AEW was the Mercedes Camille thing and that promo. Except for Big Bill breaking in the middle of it. That was fun, but I can't stand Jericho right now. But anyway, I digress, babe.
I know. It was a fun one. As we're 8 minutes out. I'm looking at the wrong clocks because we have our live feed and then which became like 1 minute on. But regardless, this was a fun one.
You got less than 10 minutes for SmackDown. You got to go take yourself out, take your dog out, get your snacky snacks.
Yes, well, this has been a great show. Speaking of snacks, we have a very satisfied customer at the bar, a very satisfied patron who wants to talk about his successes tonight and was very happy with the show. Snack time.
Ordered a jalapeno burger, a chicken fried steak sandwich, a chili cheese dog with extra onions, French fries, tater tots, washed it down with 1 beer, 2 beers, 3 beers, a shot of whiskey, a margarita, and a Bloody Mary.
Do you just do these things to make me upset? I don't like Chris Jericho, and the what thing is the worst chant in the history of fucking ever. I said it. I mean it. Stop doing the what chant now. Unless it's Stone Cold doing that shit, don't do what chants. That's my soapbox.
All right. Well, maybe you just feel blessed by this show.
All that said, though, incredible team effort, and I feel so lucky and blessed to have this opportunity and be here and be part of this. Everyone here, give yourselves a round of applause. This is unbelievable. Thank you, guys.
Great job. Great job, Nick.
Your canvas skills are getting out of control.
It's getting well out of control.
I have a whole drink I didn't drink because we talked to Al.
All right, good job. Anyway, it is closing time, so let's take us out with our original Not So CCO. Paul, Triple H is back.
Thought we had a spectacular event tonight. Very excited that so far everybody seems to have come out unscathed. Banged up, bumps and bruises, but nobody seriously injured, which I always hold my breath on these events. You want to see people have the best outing that they can possibly have and make memories, but do it safely. And we were able to do that tonight.
We were able to do that tonight and pick bugs out of our drinks. But until next time.
It was a Bailey hair, to be honest.
What's worse? In some ways, depending.
We digress, kids. Go watch SmackDown.
We love our children, but sometimes they just Bailey's.
Anyway,
you do not have to go home.
but you can't stay here. Bye-bye.